Welcome to episode 8 of the Arctic Crafts podcast. My name is Bente and I'm coming to you from Vesterålen, northern Norway, where I live with my husband and 3 cats. You can find me on Instagram as Arctic Crafts, on Facebook as Arctic Crafts by Bente, and on Etsy as Arctic Crafts by Bente, and on Ravelry as Arctic Crafts 65. And to start off, I can see that my choice of wearing a black t-shirt probably wasn't too sensible. I kind of look like a free-floating head. But I decided that since Halloween was yesterday, I would wear my knitting is metal devil shirt. I'm not changing now, so you have to live with my free-floating head. This last week we got snow. So now it's official, winter is here. This last week has been really busy for me because I'm attending this entrepreneur course and I've been to school 2 days this week. So dyeing days have been far between, so not too much for this Sunday's update. I'm not even sure the yarn will dry before Sunday. I'll show you the yarn I dyed yesterday at the end of the podcast. And we'll just jump into it, won't we? Today I'm not wearing knitwear, so we're going to go ahead with my one finished object. And not being dry seems to be a theme today because I had to remove these from the bathroom floor. They weren't quite dry, but I just had to show them off because I think they're so pretty. This is Rye Flower Knits, pocket full of cloves, and the yarn is Divination Sundries by the Yarn Lab UK. I was thinking about gifting these, but they somehow ended up being my size, so I guess these are for me. And I have a hoe. This was a secret knit, because they're from my friend Sue in Canada, Crafty Knitter 7. But I've told her about them so I can show them off. This is a hoe, by the way. I've not yet started the heel on the second sock. And this is also, surprise, surprise, a Rye Flower Knits pattern. This is called Wildflowers. And the yarn has kind of a story to it because Sue was moving house and she destashed a lot of her yarn. And she wouldn't take my money, so she sent me a lot of yarn. And this skein of green yarn was one of them. And because Sue loves green, I decided to send it back to her in the form of a pair of socks. And that, people, are what I finished because, as I was saying, I've had a busy week. So I have my works in progress. Sorry for looking over there because that's my show notes. My works in progress. I've kind of worked on only one thing, except for some socks, but I haven't gotten anywhere with those. So no use in showing you, but this I have actually done some work on. It's the Dumbly Shawl by Kay Jones. And this is going to be big. The last time I showed you, I was down here. As you can see, I've gotten quite a lot of work done on this. And I'm of course in the middle of a row. Very professional. And that's about it. Maybe I should tell you a bit about last weekend, because that was my very first fair. And I was both scared and excited at the same time because I didn't know if there was a market locally for hand-dyed yarn. And I wasn't sure how it would go. I decided I would be satisfied if I made enough money to pay for the expenses I had on the fair. And I was really surprised and delighted because I did sell quite a lot of yarn. And that's why there's not a lot there. I had to remove quite a lot of yarn from my Etsy shop before I reopened it. And because of that, it was kind of a very unfortunate thing that I couldn't dye anything this week, but I managed to restock the Christmas yarn. I figured that was the most important thing. And then I've dyed up the colorways that sold the best at the fair. And so no, I'm not out of anything, at least, I don't think. So I'm going to do the update on Sunday, as usual. And there were loads of people that bought yarn, and as it turns out, there are local people that actually do what I do and knit what I knit. And I really enjoyed that experience. And speaking of fairs, there has been a small fair in Canada, in Vancouver, called Knit City. And because my good friend Sue goes there every year, and last year she was my personal shopper, and she also did the same thing for me this year. But I decided to spend my money wisely this year, so I asked her to get me a sweater quantity. And there are loads of fabulous dyers at Knit City, so I wasn't sure what dyer to pick. But I decided on Yarn Ink, because I've heard a lot about them and I've seen loads of the beautiful yarn. And I sit there on their website drooling. So I decided to go for Yarn Ink. So Sue went to their booth and sent me pictures of some of the colorways she thought that I would like. And then she sent me a picture of something I just had to have. And it's this beauty. It's called Amore, and it's on their classic sock. And I just love this skein of yarn. And I have decided what to knit with it. She bought me 4 skeins, and I'm knitting the Sweet Cables by, Sweet Cables by Marion Crivelli, because I love a bit of cable, and that sweater has just the right amount of cables, and it's kind of A-lined, so that's what this yarn is going to become. I decided on the sweater before she bought the yarn, because I wanted to make sure that I actually had the project in mind. And I'm thinking about casting this on, even though I haven't got time, because Dundernit, the Vicariously Knitting podcast, has started her Blame Dundernit along again. And this is perfect for that. Talking about knit-alongs, please remember to post your FOs in the Arctic Gal thread in my podcast group. If you just search for Arctic Crafts podcast in the groups tab on Ravelry, you'll find it. You can also post it on Instagram with the hashtag ArcticGal2019. I have been knitting some gift knitting myself, but I haven't been posting. But I'm participating. But Sue didn't leave it at that. She had to send me some gifts as well. And I kind of went a bit crazy when I unwrapped this one. I've got my very own Cozy Up Knits bag. Sorry for it blowing out. There you go. I love the Cozy Up sisters, and now I got my very own bag. I think I'm going to use this for my 9-inch circulars, because that way I can use it all the time. And there was some more goodies in the My Knit City package. You have a Knit City measuring tape, a sweet Georgia button, a twill and print stitch marker, and here we go again with the blowing out bit. It's really nice. It's a there you go. But that isn't all. She also sent me a big project bag. And this I love. It's got loads of cats on it and stuff like trying to live leisurely along with the cat, housekeeping, cleaning is fun, no it isn't. I really love this one, and it's shawl size, and that's perfect for me because I knit a lot of shawls, and I can fit a shawl in that one. And I have something more. Maybe we should call this show and tell. I ordered a Christmas bag from Busy Pottering, Anne of Busy Pottering, because I just had to have this one, and you can probably see why. She calls this Santa Claus, and look at that goofy character. You gotta love him. And because I mentioned in my message to Anne that I didn't have a proper Christmas bag before I bought that one, she decided to send me a second bag, free of charge, as a present. And what I love about this bag is that the motif on this, it looks like a Norwegian Christmas. That looks like a tiny little Norwegian cottage. So, and you have the spruce outside the house, and this really shouts Norwegian Christmas to me, so I really love it. And she added some goodies. Of course she did. There's a soap that smells really nice. I'm sorry about the light, people. It's Sheer Delight, SHEAR. And I think she encloses one of these with all her bags. And I have one already, and it's in a project bag because it makes your knitting smell really nice. And she added a lavender pouch. Love that smell. Sorry about that. I got interrupted by a cat. Surprise, surprise, I have 3 of them. And all of them are in the house today because the 2 oldest, not too fond of snow. And every year at the start of the winter season, they tend to stay indoors. And I suddenly remembered I have to tell you something a bit funny, because Lofty Loops is one of the podcasts I'm watching. Watch her podcast if you don't. She has a really nice podcast, and sometimes she shows dyeing, and her yarn is beautiful. And she had this post on Instagram where she asked people when they decorated put up their Christmas tree, if they did it before or after Thanksgiving and stuff like that. And then I had to chuckle a bit, and I commented on her post that, well, I don't put up my tree until December 23rd, the day before Christmas Eve, because that's how we do it in Norway. We put it up the day before Christmas Eve. So that's kind of our tradition. So Thanksgiving, that's a bit early. I do decorate a tiny bit December 1st. I put up my Christmas themed curtains in the kitchen, and I stealthily put some tiny, tiny Santas or angels, but not anything more than that. December 1st is kind of start of Advent, and that's when I start doing things that are Christmassy. So that's why Vlogmas will be quite funny for me, because it's that's when everything happens, from December 1st. And I realized that I won't be home on December 1st, because we'll go to Tromsø that weekend to visit my oldest son. So I won't be home December 1st. I'm coming home in the evening on December 1st. So I might do something really cheeky. I might record me opening the December 1st Advent from Nora George and the December 1st Advent from Bird and Blend. So I have the intro for the Vlogmas already made, and then I can record on our trip back from Tromsø. Probably lots of snow, but it's really beautiful. Parts of the trip from Tromsø and here are really beautiful. So we'll see about that. And while I remember, I've changed my Instagram to a professional account, and because of that, I've made myself a personal Instagram account. And that's Bente K. Våg. That's my actual name. And it's the K stands for Christine. And I'll put up the address here if you want to follow my personal Instagram account. There will probably be lots of pictures of cats and stuff like that. I don't think I have forgotten anything. This won't be a really long episode because I've been busy and I haven't done a lot of exciting things. I'll put in some footage at the end, and I'll show you what I dyed yesterday. Only 4 colorways, but I dyed a few skeins of each. And we'll start with the sport weight. It's my Nebula on sport, and it smells really nice because I use soak afterwards, and this is the celebration scent. That's sold at the fair, so I've decided to add some on sport. And I sold out my Lupine on DK, and this spirals if you knit a hat or something. This spirals up the hat. I'll put in a picture of a sample knit that Nicole Semendes did for me. She knit a hat in this. And I have sorry, it's not 4 colorways, it's 5 colorways. And I'm adding some more Vincent on Polldale. And it's blowing out a bit. It's not just white and blue. There's also yellows in it. I'm not sure you can see those. That was really popular at the fair, so I dyed up some more for the shop. And I have this. This is Rainy Days and Mondays. This started as Chaotic Good with a grey on top, but I love this version with the blue and the pinks and the yellow so much, so this will probably be Rainy Days and Mondays. And I'll keep dyeing up Chaotic Good as Chaotic Good. That's my cleaning out the dye stock colorway. And when I got the yarn from Yarn Inc. from Knit City, it suddenly dawned on me. I have a very similar colorway myself, and that's Rock Garden. I have these sharp greens in mine. But so I probably like this colorway then. But why I didn't use my own rock garden, don't ask me. I did think of it until I got this in the mail, and I thought, wait a minute, I have something very similar, and it really is very similar. This is merino though. This is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. My rock garden is on Polldale. So it's not as soft as merino, so for a sweater this is probably more suitable. I'm starting to run out of merino sock yarn. I can't seem to get any more from my supplier, and my favorite person in the wool industry, Andy at Wool Tops, is test spinning some merino at the moment. Hopefully he finds that he can make some merino sock yarn, because I really want to have merino in the shop. Here in Norway, nobody was interested in merino sock yarn. So fortunately, because I'm starting to run out of undyed, I will still have some dyed merino sock yarn in the shop. The locals only wanted Corriedale and Polldale sock yarn. I think they're a bit skeptical to merino sock yarn. They don't think it's sturdy enough for socks because it's so soft. I have lots of socks knit in merino sock yarn, and I don't think they wear out any faster than Corriedale or Polldale. But then again, I haven't been knitting a lot of socks in Corriedale or Polldale. I have knitted some socks in BFL, but I really like the feel of the socks of knitting Corriedale and Polldale. So probably the Polldale will become my standard sock yarn, and I'll keep on having merino, but not as much as I have been having. This weekend we're not doing anything because of the weather, and we're supposed to get some strong winds this weekend, and with the snow we're planning on staying home all weekend. Next week I'm going back to school again, so next week will also be terrible when it comes to dyeing. So I might dye some yarn this weekend. We'll see. I'm not sure what colorways to dye up, because I think my Christmas yarn, I still have enough of that in the shop. I might do another Christmas yarn dye when it's getting closer to December. I'll probably be dyeing up more of Deck the Halls at least, and maybe some more Impressionist watercolor Christmas edition. It won't look the same as the one already in the shop. That's kind of the nature of Impressionist watercolor. It's a bit different from time to time. So I'll maybe dyeing up some more of that. I use the same colors, but it won't look the same. And I'm going to try to get some knitting. I'm going to knit a lot this weekend, I think. I'm starting a new pair of socks, and I really want to cast on the Sweet Cable sweater. Even though I already have a cardigan on the needles, and I've caked up the yarn for another sweater, but I really want that sweater, and I really want to use this yarn. So I'll probably hibernate the other sweaters I'm working on and starting that one. Because I have this thing, I'm not sure what podcaster started this, but I have one sweater, one shawl, and some on the needles at the same time. And I can knit as many socks and hats and stuff like that I want to, but I can only have one sweater and one shawl on the needles at the same time. Problem is, I kind of, okay, I'll have one sweater on the needles, but I'll hibernate the rest instead of finishing them. So that's my problem. But that's what the Blame Dunder Knit Along is all about. You just put everything else aside and you cast on the thing you really want to cast on, or with the yarn you really want to cast on with. And I love this knit along. So shout out to Caroline of Knitting Vicariously. I love that knit along. So that's about it for today. And next time I'll try to wear something that doesn't make me look like a floating head. And my cats are starting to get a bit restless, so I'll probably be interrupted in just a moment anyway. So I'll add some footage at the end. And I have reminded you of the gift along, so please join us if you want to. And if you've never been here before, this is what you get, kind of. A bit of digressions, and not too good English. I'm sorry about that, but English is my second language. If you are back and subscribing, thank you so much. And please subscribe and like if you like what you see. And I'll see you again next Friday, hopefully with a bit more knitting finished. And maybe some dyed yarn. But I'm going to have an update this Sunday, so that's not bad. So I'll see you next Friday. Bye.